Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. In this video I want to talk about the 4 books I'm currently reading. So I was hoping to talk a little bit about Middlemarch here, because I was listening to it, and that is actually quite a chunkster of a book, but I actually just finished it. And instead I immediately went, and I don't know why, from my classics TBR list, I picked up the next one, which is just as thick or just as long almost as Middlemarch. So I picked up A Portrait of a Lady, again in audio format, because I always like to have one on the go, and actually listened to quite a lot already today while just cleaning and cooking and such. And I don't know, I didn't think that I'm gonna enjoy it so much. I only listened to about 1 or 2 hours, and it's like a 20+ hour audiobook. But I feel that it's gonna be one of those I'm really going to enjoy. And especially because it's about this woman who is an American. She has some inheritance, so she feels that she's quite independent. She had a bit of an unusual upbringing with a bit of an eccentric father. So she feels like she wants to be independent, and she wants to keep her independence. So what the premise says about this book is that she doesn't really want to get married. So we know that she's very beautiful and very smart. And in the first part, you kind of get a feeling of how, yeah, she's a very bookish person, but she doesn't want to be perceived as such, because back in that time, being a woman who was reading was not something appealing to the other sex. She has an aunt who takes her to London, and that's where we are at currently, where she meets her aunt's family, and her uncle and her cousin. And then, as far as I know, she will go to visit Paris and maybe another country in Europe with her aunt. And yeah, this is just about her and how she wants to be independent and how she doesn't want to get married, I believe. But I really love the writing style. I think Henry James is quite an amazing writer. I kind of had a feeling, I didn't know this is my first novel by him, but I will definitely pick up more if I will end up really loving this one, and I think I will. Then, because as so far I was reading kind of like heavier books, I felt like picking up something which is a bit lighter. And then I picked up Daphne du Maurier's My Cousin Rachel. And really, I didn't really get a lot into it because I had so many other ones on the go. But I feel as soon as I get through the hurdle of the first 50 pages, I'm only on page 14, so that's really not a lot. I feel like as soon as I get over like the 50-page mark, I will really maybe get more sucked into this story. Also, I feel like I'm in a bit of a slump, especially because one of the books I'm going to mention soon kind of put me in a slump. I don't know. It's just, maybe that book's just not for me. But this one is about a young man who lives with his uncle. His uncle is sick, so in the wintertime, to escape the wet climate in England, he goes to travel to south, like, I don't know, France or Italy or Spain, just to get into a more drier and sunnier climate. And he does this every single winter. But on the 3rd winter, he doesn't come back. He actually dies in Italy, I believe. And a woman comes to his house, and apparently she is his wife. And we don't know anything about her because apparently they got married there very recently. And then it's this Rachel and her, there's some mystery surrounding her. And I guess our main character, Philip, kind of maybe falls in love with her. I previously read Jamaica Inn, and I read also The Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier, and really enjoyed them. So I'm pretty sure this is also going to be a good one. And then I have a Russian classic. I have The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. And yeah, I've read like 60 pages of this, and it's just, this is one of those literary fiction, magical realism ones, which I'm not sure I'm gonna gel with, because I have a bit of a rocky past when it comes to books with magical realism in them. But I do feel that this is maybe one of those I can enjoy. I don't know what makes a book about magical realism good fit for me and which of them are not, because sometimes I really don't get along with them. But this one has such an interesting premise. So far, not much has happened. I don't really know where the title comes from yet, so I haven't reached that part. But it was so interesting because we start off with these two literary figures sitting on a bench in Moscow talking. And then this professor, this foreign man, comes up to them and they end up talking. And this man is just so weird. And they end up talking about religion and how at that time in Moscow, they don't really believe in religion and in Christ and so on and so forth. And this professor is just so surprised. And he's like, but he existed. He was real. And they're like, these people are like, he must be a lunatic if he says things like this, because he's talking about Christ as someone who has met him, you know. I believe that this foreigner they met is the devil, because in the premise in this book, the devil descends on Moscow and wreaks havoc. And he has a talking cat friend, and then he has another friend, and they just form this band of musicians, I feel, or something like that. So when this professor character hears that in Moscow they don't believe in religion, they don't believe in Jesus, he is like, you can tell that there's something's gonna happen, because he just feels like he's so happy suddenly, because this is gonna be a playground for him, Moscow. And then we go back in time, and that is not something I expected. I don't think I've read the premise so closely. Anyway, we go back in time to the day where Jesus Christ is sentenced to death by Pontius Pilate. And we kind of follow Pontius Pilate and how the sentencing to death came about. And I think I thought that was kind of interesting, and I don't know how exactly this is gonna tie into the whole story yet. And what I like about this version is that it has a commentary section in the back with chapter by chapter, and it gives us a little bit more insight into certain places, into certain figures, into certain Russian terms and such. So I think it gives a much more depth to the story. Also because I believe this is meant to be read with understanding, the certain understanding of Russia, Moscow, and the whole scene back then. And yeah, I guess this helps a lot. These comments at the end helps a lot with that. But I'm excited to see if this is gonna be one I will like or not, especially because of the magical realism element in it. And then the last book, which just kind of gave me some sort of a slump. I don't know. I wouldn't say slump because I'm still reading books, but it just made me not, I don't know, it just made me stop reading a little bit, because I just felt that this is so out there for me. And this is Eyes by Anna Kavan. And I picked this up. This is a really short one, and it sounded like a dystopian novel about ice enveloping the world. And yeah, it just sounded like some dystopian novel, but it is much more of a literary fever dream sort of a novel, where we follow this man who is obsessed with this woman who has really white hair, and he follows her and tries to take her away from this warden. And there's just so many references to ice and snow and the color white. And it's just really like a fever dream. You don't know what to believe, because this woman dies and then she's not dead. And it's just like, it's just so weird that I've never read anything like this before. And I read a little bit about the author, and it seems like she was addicted to heroin. And it seems like the ice and the color white and such is like a reference to that. And maybe this is not more like a psychedelic dream than a fever dream. I don't know, but it just really puts me in a slump, and I really can't read more than 1 or 2 chapters. I'm more than halfway through, and I thought I'm gonna speed through a short novel like this, but I guess I just need to take like smaller chunks of this at a time. I don't know. It's just so weird. Let me know if you have read anything like this before, because I feel like it's just so out there, and I don't know if this book would be for everyone. I don't know if this book is for me. I don't know, but I'm gonna finish it because I'm really curious to see where it goes, even though maybe it won't go anywhere. I just don't know. I just don't know what to think about it. So yeah, these are all the books I'm currently reading, and I think I am most excited about The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James so far out of all of these. But yeah, let me know what books you are currently reading, and let me know if you have read any of these, and especially The Master and the Margarita. I don't know, I think this can become a favorite, but also I think this is one of those I really can't read fast. I think I'm not even sure that I will be able to finish it this month, because I think I need to read this a bit more carefully, because otherwise I feel like I will miss out on some details, and I really don't want to. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.